welcome back to Modernizing Biz podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us who is taking our culture to the world. Hi, Shivali, how are you?
Hi, Nandini. I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. So, Shivali, since you are into devotional song, and I want to know, like, when you get an idea of, getting into devotional music, because I don't think there in London people used to listen all these things.
I think that's incorrect because, and maybe because in India you might not think we're interested, but the culture, the sanskar, the commitment to Sanatan Dharma is pretty strong to the Hindu diaspora outside of India. Probably because we want to maintain a way of connecting. Um, and bhajans is a great music is a great form of keeping people connected to something higher and to their spirituality and their faith. And yes, in some ways, not even just in the UK, I think globally, bhajans for the younger generation, perhaps they felt they couldn't identify with it. It was a harmonium and the tabla, and there wasn't really much production or any other instruments. It was usually sung by someone elderly. And so when you've got the influences of pop and R&B and hip hop and Bollywood, it's very hard for bhajans to compete in that space. And not compete in a way that bhajans aren't obviously more meaningful, but compete in a production space to appeal to the younger generations. And I wanted to create something that was appealing, and that even if somebody was not spiritual, religious, or devotional, they liked the production so much that it drew them in, and then perhaps it would interest them in our culture and philosophy.
Okay, so when you get an idea getting into it, like getting into the music, and or what is one incident which happens and you thought that no, I want to go into a devotional music.
I don't think it was one such moment. I think, in Sanskrit, we have this word called your swabhav, and your swabhav is your nature. It's
Yeah.
your natural inclination and direction that you go in. And from a young age, my particular swabhav was devotional. I was, according to my mother, reciting shloks from the Gita at the age of 3, and I was very much interested in devotional music. And so it was very natural to me. But the real idea to make it contemporary came when I was 15, and I played a traditional bhajan to my Rocky brother Arjun, who produced my music, and said to him, "What do you think of this?" And he said, "Well, I would never listen to this. I don't even know what this is." And I said, "Okay, so here's the idea. We need to try and create a version of this that you would listen to."
Okay, so is this all, like creating bhajan into a music way? It is for the new generation, or just not to make all these things boring and just connect new generation with the, devotional part of music?
Yeah, I don't, it's not just for the new generation. It's for any generation. When I get people connecting with me about my music and what they are into and why they like it, it's people from a really wide age bracket. We're talking about people who are having their babies listen to my music and their kids grow up on it, to people all the way in their 60s and 70s who can identify with it. So it wasn't for a particular segment of society, it was more the idea in and of itself.
Okay, so I want to know, like, since you touched the point of Gita ji, so have you read Gita?
I studied it through Chinmaya Mission,
Okay.
uh, and also I studied it by myself. So through those two channels mainly.
So I want to know, what is one learning which you have learned from Gita and you have to tell to the audience?
Gosh, there are so many. I would say so there was one that I used to write in my wallet. This is quite an interesting story. So when I went through my first breakup. I was 17 years old and very upset, and I wrote in on a piece of card, "The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead." And that's a shlok from, well, it's a short form of a shlok from the Gita. And I put it in my wallet and I kept it there, and I've never forgotten it, because we attach too much to this life, and we think everything is so significant, but we are here for a really short amount of time. And if we were to spend less time grieving and attaching ourselves to that which is constantly changing, then we would find the adventure of this Leela that the Lord has created more fun and enjoyable, and we would roll with it versus trying to fight against it. So I think the Gita teaches you, A, to be present, and B, the art of detachment.
Yeah, I agree to that. So I want to know, like back in those days when you were not doing singing and all. So what is your career plan? Like, what you thought of doing?
I was a graduate in economics and philosophy. My first job was in an investment bank called Goldman Sachs, where I was a summer analyst, and I wanted to be a equity trader. And I thought my life would be in finance. Funnily enough, it has gone full circle, and at the moment, I am both doing music and I'm on the M&A side in investment banking in a business development role. And so I've always touched on finance in and out of my life. So I did think that that was going to be my career. And in many ways, it has been my career. But then so has the arts to a very high level.
So still, are you connected with the finance thing, or you have only connected with the singing?
Yeah, no, as I said, I'm sitting in an investment bank as well. So I have a dual career, one which is music, performing, public speaking, and then one which is investment in investment banking.
Okay, so like how you're going to manage? They're two different field, and you have to, one is whole technical, logical field, and one is all creativity. Like how you are managing these two things?
I'm very tired, Nandini. I'm really, really tired. No, I think it's some people's brains are just both left and right. Some people are, and I think it's tough because most people fall into a certain category. They're either extremely artistic or they're very technical, financial, logic driven, and that I think makes life easier. I think it's really difficult when you have both and you're split in both directions, because you're constantly needing the gratification and satisfaction of exercising both sides of your brain. So it is hard. However, it gives me in a lot of enjoyment and joy, and I think that compensates for it. But it's not an easy switch for the mind. I think at some point my brain might want to pick one, but at the moment it's managing to fluctuate between the two.
So like, sometimes it happens with me, like when I also do two things. I do podcasts and I have another things as well. Like I do makeup, fashion and stuff. So it happens with me, like when my business is going down, think that I should make a career in fashion and all. And since I'm seeing a lot of influencer and all, then when I get into it, it is so hard to get into this and make the content consistency. Then I think no, this is better. So is this happens with you as well, like monkey dance of brain?
Yeah, so in Vedanta, we always look at the monkey mind,
Yeah.
right? The mind behaves like a monkey, and it's constantly swinging like a pendulum between the past and the future. And it's jumping from desire and interest constantly, which means that we aren't focused, we aren't productive, and in order to be an achiever, you need to have the discipline of continuity, and that is tough. I totally understand that. The things that I do to remedy that situation is I have a strong fitness structure to my life. I try and work out 6 times a week, at least 5 times a week, and that's because that energizes the body in a certain way that it creates a pattern of discipline that you need. The second thing I try to do, which I have slacked in the last couple of days, but is meditate and pray every morning. Again, to quieten the mind so that there's less noise. Because a lot of this noise that we're talking about of should I do this, should I do that, are just thoughts in the mind that
Agree.
are that a lot of them are useless, right? Um, but if you are to quieten the mind and eliminate a lot of that noise, and what you do is you then refine the level of thoughts that you have. And once that refinement occurs, it allows you to have the discipline to commit to what it is that you want to do. And I think you can commit to multiple things. You just
Agree.
have to have the energy and the attitude to give it your best. And so when I am doing my, let's say my job involved in investment banking, I am 100% in. If it's an Excel, if it's a conversation, I am there. If I am doing a dance, I am there. If I'm producing a song, I am there. And it's just creating that presence, no matter what.
Okay, so let's jump back to the music part, because we are talking so much psychological talks. So I want to know, what are the challenges you face when you step into the music industry?
So the challenges I faced, and a lot of them would be different now, but there was a challenge of giving up control. When you are signed to a big label, they have, and I was signed as an artist as well as my album was signed, and that meant that they were invested in the way that I look, the way that I dress, um, my weight, my hairstyle, my just everything. I became the product, and that was really difficult. Having people tell you what to wear when you are born and brought up in London in a very independent lifestyle is extremely difficult. In fact, I'm sure it happens to artists and influencers over here in the UK as well, and in the US. I think it happens everywhere. But giving up control is something that you have to do when you're in an artistic career and you have a manager or an agent, and that is hard. Also, the music industry is tough because it's a very it's a very saturated space. It You now have new songs. I don't even know how many songs are released per day, but it's an extremely high number. You not only have the competition, so I only used to have competition from people who were signed. Now you have competition from YouTube artists, from TikTok artists, from Instagram artists, from people who are just making songs in their bedroom. And that has changed the entire music industry. It's changed the way labels make money. It's changed the way artists are compensated, but also the value artists bring is measured differently, and that's really tough. It's I've gone from releasing CDs to everything being streamed. I've gone from music videos being 5 minutes long and people watching the whole thing to now people wanting to watch content of 60 seconds. How do you build a brand like that when you are of the traditional mindset and from the traditional framework, right? It's tough.
Okay, so I want to know, like, how you make business out of it. Like, what is the major insights of music industry people are not aware? And there are a lot of new shows which have started, like Indian Idol and other shows, and new generation are really want to step into these new activities. So, what actually music industry insights looks like, and how they make a business out of it?
Making a business out of music is extremely tough, firstly. You need the heavens to open the doors for you because you can knock, 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 and I don't know what it takes for it to open. But firstly, I would say, and this is for music, but this is for any business really, you have to figure out what your USP is, right? What makes you stand out? What are you bringing to the table in music that nobody else can bring? Is it a certain kind of sound? Is it your production? Is it your vocal technique? Is it the genre you've chosen? Is it underexposed? So you have to figure out where there's white space in the music industry for you to fit in. Number two is that you have to work on your craft and put it out there. So whether that's creating a YouTube channel, a TikTok channel, these are all the means that people do now to be discovered. I did it a very different way. I was producing music and then putting it on CD, and Sony Music listened to my demo. That those days are gone. That's not how it works anymore. So I would say that you have to self promote and create a plan to pitch yourself. And once you get the public on your side, then it's very easy to build a business because you can create a reoccurring revenue stream through YouTube, through streaming, and other things like that. However, it's it's not for the faint-hearted. So I would say that you have to be so committed to this and have a really authentic reason for wanting to be in the music industry. It can't just be like, I want to be famous. I mean, that's right. Many people want to be celebrities overnight.
Exactly.
That's not a great strategy. Being wanting to be famous for the sake of wanting to be famous, then you should go to therapy and figure out what that's about
Okay.
instead.
So, like your part, like I genuinely listen first time, like someone who is doing music in a devotional part. So there are very less people who are doing all these things. So how you collaborate and network with the same people of your industry?
I don't really because there is nobody actively in the devotional space. Yes, fine. There's Anup Jalota and there was Jagjit Singh, and but otherwise there aren't that many. There are lots of people doing it tied to a certain group, right? So you'll have like, I think there's this girl, this American or English. I mean, I think she's an English woman, and she does it for ISKCON, and she's a big deal. There's someone who does it for Art of Living, Vikram Hazra. So there are people who do it for certain organizations, but I'm different. I'm a commercial devotional singer. So I
Okay.
don't have many people to connect with. But that's okay because I don't think I need to connect with people over my specific genre. I think you just need to connect with others in the music industry so that you can be inspired and learn from them and see how you can provide another edge to your music.
So I want to know, like, since like I have honestly, I'm in shock that you not being an Indian and singing devotional song is very shock for me. So I want to know, like, there are a lot of people who have nudge you like, why are you doing this? Just go into pop, just do rapping and all. So how you come back from that situation and stick on the one? No, I want to do this.
Yeah, you're right. And I think my mom once even said to me, she's like, God, bhajans, 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 do something else. You do something different. And I've played around. I write songs in English. I actually, all my singing classes are in English. I do a lot of pop and musical theater. I absolutely love. But see, there are so many pop singers. There are so many people rapping. What makes you stand out. Again, it goes back to your USP. What is your story and where does your voice fit in? I am that devotional voice. I started on that journey because I wanted to make great music for God to listen to and about divinity. And I believe, like, my natural heart and soul is drawn to that. I want to sing for him or her, Mataji, whatever you want to say. I want to sing for the Lord. So anything else just doesn't feel authentic and real. So that's why I haven't gone into it. And also, after doing it for nearly 10 years, I have 3 albums now. I I've stood this test of time to show that I'm committed to this. But yes, it's if I could go back in time, would I have done things differently? No, I still would have done devotional music, but maybe I would have been far more open-minded into maybe going into Bollywood because I act, I sing, I dance, and maybe that would have been an angle. But again, with the whole Me Too movement, that's an industry of itself that's very
Agree.
interesting.
Okay.
Not sure I want to do that.
So now, since you have touched the point of Bollywood, I want to know, like, have you been into India? Like, have you come to India?
Of course, yeah. I lived in Mumbai when my first album was releasing, and I go to Mumbai nearly every year.
Okay, so have you got an offer from Bollywood? Like, since you've touched that, you should have a backup plan. As the God says that if not this working, then this. So, have you get an offer from Bollywood, or you tried there?
I didn't get an offer per se. I met with a director, a pretty big one, and he was very nice. And then he told me to come and sit on the couch with him, and I got scared and I ran out the room. And then someone said to me that if you want to do Bollywood, you need to be able to get closer. And I said, well, I cannot get closer. So that was the end of that. And then nobody came after me after that. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. I think you have to, now everybody looks like, they've got these perfect noses and perfect, like, I don't know if they've done work or what, but everybody's face looks like structurally perfect, and I look like me. So I'm not a Miss World.
So, have you done any audition part, like, like since you met with the director? So, for acting and all, have you tried?
No, I moved back to England and then I moved to New York, and I've written plays and I work on scripts and I've acted in things, but they've all been Western focused and things that I've had a lot of control over.
Okay, since going towards the end of this podcast, I want to know what is your future plan and what is the next album of yours coming, the name of the album and when it is launching.
Well, that's hard because my album just launched last month. So at the moment, everything is about my third album, The Bhajan Project 2, which took many years to come together. It's hard to convince a label to release a bhajan album. Sony Music have been so gracious. They keep supporting my bhajans. I would like to do The Bhajan Project 3, which would be my fourth album. Maybe in a couple of years. My producer Arjun has told me to just relax for a while before we jump on that. In the meantime, I will continue writing and looking at the film and television industry as well.
Okay, so now when we can have bhajan concerts or like something like that of yours, so we can also attend it.
I would love to. I do a lot of performing in the UK and in the US. Less so in India, but why, you organize it, I'll come and do it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining this link and having a very good conversation with you. It is quite interesting when, like this is something which is very new for me, getting a lot of information of music industry. Thank you so much, Shivali. And We
Thank
are
you so much.
definitely gonna watch your concert and watch your new albums.
Yeah, make sure you share my album with all your friends. I
Definitely.
want to see the
Definitely.
Spotify streams go up, okay? I'm counting on you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.